Help us out, Islam. Come on, y'all. Come on. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, Allahu akbar. To the stage now, Lady Deen. Allah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, Allahu akbar, Allahu akbar. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, Allahu akbar, Allahu akbar. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, Allahu akbar. Help us out, yo. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, Allahu akbar.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Manson, thank you so very much for allowing me to join you at the beginning of an exciting weekend. I'd like to acknowledge ISNA's Vice President, Iman Majid, with whom I had a privilege of chatting before coming up here today, National Director Dr. Saeed Daya Magahed, and our colleague Alonzo Fogram, the Acting Administrator of USAID. It's good to be with you, and it's an honor to have the opportunity to address you on behalf of the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama. And I was particularly touched to know that this is the first time anyone from the White House has actually addressed ISNA. So it's a personal privilege for me. Thank you. And I'm also delighted that you have moved here to Washington, D.C., my new home and the new home of President Obama. I think it's quite fitting that we're meeting here on this very special weekend as we mark our nation's 233rd year of independence tomorrow. Recently, I had the privilege of traveling with President Obama to Cairo and attending his speech. And I think that this holiday weekend is the perfect time for us to reinforce his message that Muslims are an indispensable part of the American story and that the contribution of millions of Muslim Americans have enriched our country and communities all across our land. Congratulations. The 4th of July is a quintessential American holiday that celebrates our struggles of independence and the things that we have accomplished. But it's also a time to reflect on the hard-won freedoms that we as Americans enjoy, and a constant measure of our fidelity to the values that we cherish so dearly. Your theme for this year that Dr. Matson mentioned, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, one of the most familiar lines from our Declaration of Independence, is yet another opportunity to gauge how well that promise has been kept. It also reminds us of how we must always work each and every day to make that promise a reality for every American, no matter their race, their faith, or their income. In many ways, that is why this convention is all about. It's all about you who are here to exchange and develop ideas that will ensure that America continues to live up to that great promise it has shown across the decades. And you will do so by bringing together an amazing array of voices. One of the beautiful things about this event is the diversity of American organizations and ideas that are represented and will be debated. Indeed, outside of Hajj, this convention constitutes one of the most diverse gatherings of Muslim people in the world. And that is a testament to the diversity and dynamism of Muslim communities right here in America. The panels throughout the weekend will engage in dialogue on a number of important social and economic issues that affect all Americans. These include increasing civic engagement and interfaith cooperation, protecting the rights of the disabled and the elderly, addressing domestic violence, improving education and health care, expanding renewable energy, and protecting the environment, I know that these are priorities in your communities, and I can promise you that they are priorities of President Obama and his administration too. As this convention demonstrates, gone are the days of describing distinct sets of Muslim issues and American issues. Your work here is crucial in confronting the challenges that all Americans are facing. And you help to advance the new beginning in the United States and Muslim communities around the world that the President called for when he gave that very important speech in Cairo. This new beginning with Muslim communities worldwide is one of the President's top priorities. He has already spoken about the importance of this issue on Al Arabiya, on the Nowruz message, in Turkey, in Egypt, and most recently on Don TV. And I can promise you that he will continue to address this priority going forward, both in words and, more importantly, in deeds. That vision includes expanded engagement between our administration and the American Muslim community that is built upon understanding and respect. A government of the people requires a sustained effort to listen and to learn from all of its citizens, and that's what this administration intends to do. President Obama's speech in Cairo centered on several principles, some of which I will mention today. One of the most important was the recognition that America and Islam share certain fundamental values: justice, progress, tolerance, and dignity for all human beings. I know that because I have been personally enriched by the contributions of Islam throughout my life. First, in Iran, where I was born and lived as a young girl, I lived on the Namazi Hospital compound, the first hospital built in Shiraz a long time ago, where American and Iranian doctors worked side by side to improve the quality of health care provided to the Shirazi people. My experience continued in Chicago, which is home to many thousands of Muslims. And then, while working in the White House and getting to know so many of you who are committed to lifting up our country. You know this because you live those values in your lives each and every day. One only has to look at the remarkable contributions of Muslims to our national life to understand how they have advanced American values. As the President said in his speech, since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. They have fought in our wars, served government, stood for civil rights, started businesses, taught at our universities, excelled in our sports arenas, won Nobel Prizes, built our tallest building, and carried the Olympic torch. And I'll tell you, it's not always easy to identify American Muslim business leaders, scientists, artists, and athletes, and so on, not because there aren't any, but because there are so many. And they are known for their talent and their character, not simply for their religion. This is a great thing. It's a reflection of the American dream, which is ultimately rooted in these values that we all share, values that are common to all of humanity. And just as we share common values, as we share common dreams for security, for progress, and for opportunity, these are universal things, and we must relate to one another through our commonality, rather than allowing others to define us by our differences. This message was at the center of the President's speech in Cairo, and it is why America is committed to a relationship with the Muslim communities abroad that is defined by mutual respect and the pursuit of mutual interest and mutual values. One of the most important ways that we can advance those values is in our own lives is through service. And Muslim Americans have built a noble record of service throughout our history. As the Holy Quran teaches, do not neglect your portion of this world, and do good do to others as God has done to you. In addition to the call to service, the Quran also talks about the respected role of women in Muslim society. I can see by looking out into this audience that we lead by example and show the world that our daughters have all of the potential to achieve what our sons do, and then we will have advanced our common prosperity. Issues of women's equality are by no means uniquely an issue for Islam. The struggles for women's equality continue in many aspects of American life and in countries around the world. The President recognized this when he asked me to chair the White House Council on Women and Girls, which partners with all of our federal agencies to explore our own policies around the advancement of issues that concern women and girls. We know that our government must lead by example as well, and I hope that our partners in organizations like ISNA will continue to dialogue with us as we engage women and girls around the world and educate everyone about the importance of equality. Dr. Madsen and Vice President Majid, I invite you to work with us in the Council. I learned as we were coming in here about the great work that you guys are doing addressing the issue of domestic violence. That's one of many issues that the White House Council intends to address. President Obama recently issued another call to service, and it's one that I hope you will take to heart and respond. Already we've seen communities group launch service projects and websites that are dedicated to mobilizing the strength of their communities to serve those in need in neighborhoods all across the country. And I was delighted to hear Dahlia mention it in her remarks. Everyone can serve, and I encourage you to visit our White House website, www.serve.gov, to both find and post opportunities for community service. The spirit of getting out and tackling the problems we face exemplifies another important message that President Obama delivered while he was in Cairo, that ultimately we will be judged not by words alone, but of course by our actions. As he noted, we've made good progress in a number of important policy areas. For example, we have begun the closing of Guantanamo Bay, and we no longer torture. We know that the conflict in the Middle East is a source of tension and great sadness. That is why the President is personally committed to working with stakeholders in the Middle East to achieve a just and sustainable solution. With two states, Israel and Palestine. Who it is our deepest wish will live side by side in peace and in security. That will require all parties to make tough political decisions. You've heard the President discuss his concerns regarding the settlements, but it is not just the settlements. Lasting peace will require a concerted effort on behalf of the Palestinians as well, to end incitement and increase security, and by Israel's Arab neighbors to take steps towards normalizing Israel. We are making progress, but America's relationship with the Muslim community cannot be judged purely by progress in the Middle East peace, just as it will not be defined only by opposition to violent extremism. It must be more comprehensive. That is why we must cooperate on implementing the initiatives the President announced in many areas, including education, science and technology, health and development, entrepreneurship, and interfaith partnerships. Many of the panels at this conference are focused on these very important issues, and your work will be instrumental in ensuring that sound policies are developed and progress is realized in all of these areas. Because we know that both America and Muslims around the world will benefit from these important partnerships. Together, I believe we can meet our responsibilities to leave our nation, and in fact our world, a better place than we found it. In our 233 years of existence, the The United States has seen its share of challenges, and the same is true today. Our nation has succeeded in overwhelming the trials of the past, and we will overcome the tests we face today by remaining true to our founding principles and relying on the collective strength of our diverse citizenship. The millions of American Muslims that you represent are an integral part in meeting the challenges of our time. The problems that we face here at home and even those around the world do not discriminate between color or creed or faith. They do not recognize national boundaries. Our children's future will depend on whether cooperation and partnership triumphs at this moment. Our common interests must prevail. Whether we will focus on cynicism of the past or make the deliberate decisions to work together on finding solutions that work for everyone. Whether we will remain faithful to the words in our Declaration of Independence and remember that they are not simply poetic ideals, but inalienable rights for all. I hope you will continue your commitment to the public service and join us in this work, as I know you do each and every day. I want to thank you for the wonderful contributions that you are already making to enrich our nation's life, and I wish you all of the best for a spectacular convention weekend. Thank you, thank you, thank you.